Speaking about special people, we have one joining us on the line as we continue conversations looking at I suppose, the access to environments that could better the state of your mental health. We're looking at team spirit, resilience, and how this affects the mind. And we're doing this through a conversation with Tinotenda Mavesere joining us this evening, a member of the South African Sharks rugby franchise, joining us from Durban as we chat things up and just gauge his storyline to see, is it really effective to be part of a team? And does sport really contribute to the development of mental health, mental well-being, if you will? Do these two coming together afford me an opportunity not just to survive, but to thrive mentally, is the question that I want you to ponder on as we continue this conversation. Tino, let's get into the second segment of our conversation where we are exploring the deeper mechanisms of mental resilience, of recovery and leadership through the lens of sport psychology. Now, research highlights that sport can teach emotional regulation, coping with wins, losses, and public scrutiny. You touched on that before. You said that there is a rush, an adrenaline rush that comes with a win specifically, right? Can you recall a match or a season that truly tested your emotional balance? And if so, tell us about it.
I've had a couple, but one that comes to mind was recently the World Cup qualifiers. So we were in Uganda. We had 3 games. It was a tournament and quarterfinals, semifinals, and the finals. And that just like that that time was just nerve-wracking. I mean, I've played many games with I can say much harder opponents, but just the weight of each and every game got me so anxious. Like I couldn't sleep at night, just rolling and tossing, just imagining what was gonna happen, and even just approaching the game, like you are so nervous. You're visiting the toilet, a bit extra, and you can just see it in everyone's eyes. Yeah, so for me, that time was just an emotional roller coaster, and you win, you're on a high, and then tomorrow morning you're faced with another challenge. Yeah.
Tell me how this, I mean, you described the context of you and your team, that everybody was going through their own state. You spoke to yours specifically, but you could tell that when you looked around the room, everybody was experiencing a level of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Rightfully so. You want to come up top. Talk to me about how the team dynamic contributed. Was it positive or negative? And we can be honest, right? Because sometimes
Yeah.
we're together, but we're all panicking together. It
Yeah.
doesn't change anything, it doesn't make anything better. In this
Yeah.
particular context, what happened?
Yeah. I think that's when a team really, uh, that's when having a team or being in a team plays like the important role, apart from individual sports where it's you versus you. Um, there are there are like certain individuals that would have that confidence, and when you look at them, and when they say let's go, and when they say I've got you, like it like it comes from a place of belief, and you catch on that. um, and um, and I've got to say, in as much as I was feeling like that, but I knew I had younger guys that like I shouldn't, or that shouldn't have seen that side of me. So I had to wear that face of courage and go and uplift and encourage them. And I think that in itself plays a huge role, and everyone feeds off that. And it depends from player to player. And it carries on even into the game where one person makes that big hit, and it's like it just catches on everyone, and then you're like, actually, let's go. So everyone will be feeding on each and everyone's positive energy, which is really phenomenal to see.
Tino, let's talk about you being crowned during the semifinals, right? This was sometime in July, I believe that was.
Yes, in
Just
July.
that moment. I believe that we have a picture of you holding your trophy. Yes?
Do you?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Talk to us about that moment. I mean, as somebody who was in the locker room playing mentor to those younger, and then these young studs seeing you progress on that caliber, it must have some kind of effect, not just in the locker room, but for you personally, to be able to be accountable to the things you preach. How did that leave you feeling?
um, yeah, I think personally for me, I'm also on my own journey, in as much as the youngsters are on their own journey. But I've got to say, from a personal point of view, I was really overwhelmed with emotion, of just where we've come from, and not only that, but that specific game was so tough, that you had moments where you wanted to give up, but you just kept telling yourself, "Let's go." And I think at the end, just just seeing the results, and just seeing that win, it just overwhelms you. So I think from a personal point, I was really emotional, but also from an outside point of view, I think it gave me leverage, or it gave me, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? It gave me, how can I say? It gave me credibility,
Mm.
from the youngsters, where now when I say something or when I show something, they believe, and they, look forward to. So now the responsibility is up to me, that I lead the right way. So yeah, I was like, I think it was really, yeah, it was really a good moment. Yeah.
Tino, for those who aren't rugby fans, who are like Shayla, maybe watching some matches, maybe not. Let's talk about the process altogether. So you just came back from the qualifiers in Uganda, right?
Yes.
What's coming next? Because qualifiers, in my mind, is a cluster of teams going up against each other to determine who will be in the World Cup. No?
Yes. So that was settled at the qualifiers, who was going to go. So Zimbabwe won, and we will be taking part in the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia. So what's next is just our preparation game, and yeah, and we fly to Aussie.
Lovely. And then, lastly, as we wrap up conversations, mental well being is becoming a very vast and much explored conversation in the world of sport. For those who are watching, and from your own personal experience, what would you say to sportsmen and women? And I don't want to restrict it to people who are in the sport fraternity per se, but people who think on that caliber, people who set goals and work to attain them. I think that's the mindset I want to address. What would you say to them about resilience, about the necessity for team settings, and of course, your own personal stance in the bigger scheme of things?
I think resilience is really an important factor, and if if not present, can really lead to the same thing that you're running away from, which is depression and all of that. And I think being being a goal setter, you should be reasonable in your goals. You should allow yourself to set goals that are reasonable, but also not what's this, not setting a trap for yourself. So I think as one that's setting goals, always be reasonable, and I think that in itself, you're putting your best foot forward to be able to, to achieve all. Because the moment you don't achieve that, you're most likely to be disheartened. You're most likely to give up, and and all of that. But then, if resilience is in place, you'll keep going, and you keep thriving, and it will be only a matter of time where your results will come to play. Because there's a scripture in the Bible that speaks about as long as seed time and harvest, ex- as long as long as as long as seed time and harvest exist, day and night shall not cease. So I believe that sooner or later you will achieve your goals. And I was faced with a situation where I didn't have opportunities, I didn't have proper facilities, but I just kept on making it work. And the moment that I almost gave up was my breakthrough point. So I think resilience is the most important thing. Like I said at the start, motivation can only take you so as far. So having
Yeah.
that discipline and resilience, they go hand to hand. Will
Yeah.
really get you over the line sooner or later.
That time, Tino, I'm relying on motivation for tomorrow's 5K run. You can't be saying things like that in the middle of the night. Good and kind,
um,
sir.
you
Good and
can't
kind.
you can't trust that guy. You can't
Yeah.
trust that guy.
Don't say that. Don't say, because if I'm to be honest and fair, especially for those who are starting, because health has become a very
Yeah,
important conversation across communities. For those who are starting out, and they're saying, you know what, I want to push myself. The very beginning, you need some kind of motivation. Remember, the discipline
hundred
hasn't
percent,
developed as yet. So we're
hundred
not in it. We're
percent.
not. I mean, I couldn't run against you to save lives, if we are
Yeah,
to be honest. However, you wait for the cute things, like maybe I'm going to enjoy wearing my outfit at the gym. Who knows?
yes,
You wait on those little bits of information
yeah.
that will
Or if I have
inspire.
my AirPods Pro Max,
You
you
see?
know, yeah,
Something like that. So, I'm
yeah.
going to get 10,000 steps. Listen, we are motivated by different kinds of things, but I do hear you, and I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. This has been very fruitful.
And I thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Such an honor.
Yeah. The voice there of Tino Mavesere joining us this evening. Superstar in the making, currently playing for the national team in Zimbabwe as well as the Sharks rugby team in Durban. And he was sharing with us his story of resilience and how team spirit pours fruitfully into your mental well being. 46 after 11 p.m. Central African time. I'm going to give you some time to think. Maybe yours was to say, Shayla, me too, I'm depending on motivation. Yeah, one last time. Let's do tomorrow together. One last time, depend on motivation. And then on Thursday, we'll try the discipline thing. How's that? Yes? For now, some music.